Today, I'm Timothy Osworth from the SEO specialist here in Australia, and today I'm going to be talking about how to install WordPress on your own hosting or cPanel account, not through WordPress.com. The reason I'm showing this way to manually install WordPress on any type of hosting that you own or you're about to purchase is because it's just a lot better. Like you can a lot more customizable, and it really doesn't take that long to set up a WordPress installation on your own hosting. Now, depending on where you are, you could be in the United States, could be in Australia, could be in New Zealand, you could be in South Africa. A really good tip that I can give to anyone who's about to buy hosting is to purchase hosting that's based in your own country or your own region. So, for instance, if I go here to Australia and I type in hosting, I get, Google brings up local results. It brings up, it also brings up companies that are, say HostGator, that's a US company, but they also have, they also target Australia customers. Bluehost is an Australian company, WebHost Australia, Venture IP. For any Australian people who want to buy really good Australian hosting, Venture IP is, in my opinion, the best hosting there is. It's just better, but it's your choice at the end of the day. But say, like if you're in the US, I'd bring up some USA results. You got hosting that's located in the United States. Some hosting, such as A2 hosting, you can pick the server destination, or the actual server location. It gives you a choice of United States, Singapore. I'm not too sure, it might give you a choice of Sydney as well. But the reason I say to buy hosting, it depends on what you're going to do with the website that you're going to be building in WordPress. If you're in the United States but you're going to be targeting Australia, well, buy hosting in Australia, because but if you're going to be building a website in the United States for United States citizens, then you buy hosting that's located in the US. The reason that I say that, the reason that I suggest buying hosting in your own country or own location is because when you build a website on that hosting platform, and just say you're a US based business and you buy hosting that's situated in the UK, what'll happen is that it will add on a slight delay to your website when it loads. So basically, to US customers. So basically, if you're in the US, if you're a US business and you buy hosting in the UK or any other country for that matter, then basically when someone goes to your website and it's on that UK hosting, and someone in the US goes to your website, as the website's loading, it's got to go all the way to the UK and all the way back to the US again. And it might only mean half a second. It could mean 900 milliseconds. It could be in almost a second. But that adds on to the loading times of the website. And there's several reasons why you should sort of try and mitigate the loading of a website as much as possible, you know, for search engine optimization reasons, user experience, you know. Most people get frustrated. The longer a website takes to load, the more likely they will go to another website. You know, a website that takes longer than 2 seconds, 3 seconds at the absolute most to load, you'll lose customers. That's about it. So today I'm not gonna go through how to set up hosting. Hosting is, most of the time, it's pretty easy to set up. You just go to, you know, for instance, I'll go to one of the hosting, because I'm located in Australia. I'll go to, say, Venture IP. Most of the hosting companies around the world are set up like this. You know, they've got a home page where you can choose domain names, you can choose business hosting, custom hosting, WordPress hosting. VPSs, or virtual private servers, are mainly for larger businesses. Businesses that, you know, that are going to have a lot of traffic to the website, or a large website that's going to use a lot of resources. If you're just a small business, all you really need is shared hosting. And then once the website takes off, which will take time, then you can upgrade to a VPS, and you can, you know, you can contact your IT team to do that. Whoever's looking after it, you can contact me if you want. I know a fair bit about this. A lot of companies will also offer, like, business hosting. They'll offer WordPress hosting. WordPress, you know, it takes a little more resources than just a website that's just been built from scratch, because but you get better results with WordPress, you know. It's got a bigger engine, but it looks better. It's a bit like a Ferrari and a Mini. So most situations, like, if you know what you're doing with hosting, I wouldn't go for that. I'd just go for custom hosting, and then I would. And not every hosting company is going to give you the ability of customizing your plan like Venture IP does. Some of the hosting businesses in the United States do have that. Most of them have just preset where you can't really customize anything. You just buy hosting with a certain amount of RAM, certain amount of space, you know. But this is what I like about Venture IP, is that basically you just click that, and you can actually you can build your own plan. So, like, if you know, for a small website, you probably only need 1 to 2 gigabyte. I mean, on Venture IP, even at minimum, their hosting is still pretty good. But, you know, I would suggest going for at least 200% CPU and 2 gigabyte of memory, and 2 gigabyte for a starting website. And through Venture IP, man, it's only $2.70. You know, the US companies, some of the US hosting companies will have something like this. If not, you can just basically contact the hosting company and just ask them what the best plan is. And it's an easy setup process. You just, you know, most of the hosting websites will just have, like, get started or buy hosting, and you click on that and you just set up an account. Some hosting companies won't allow you to access the cPanel. It depends on if they're managing it or not. To do this, you need hosting where you've got access to cPanel. So that might be something you might have to ask them and say, I need access to cPanel. cPanel, so it's C with a capital C and then panel. And that's just basically the configuration area of the hosting. So basically, when you're buying hosting, there's a few things that they might be trying to sell you for add-ons, like management toolkit. You know, this is just for this particular hosting company, but there's other hosting companies that will have extra add-ons, like, do you want to buy emails? Do you want to buy SSL certificates? SSL certificates are basically just up here. You can see how that's got. It just makes the website a little bit more secure. Depends on what SSL certificate you buy. This is needed for a website that you want to rank, because Google just simply dislikes websites that aren't secure or don't have an SSL certificate. You're pretty unlikely to rank a website without an SSL certificate. Now, with SSL certificates, there are two ways you can get an SSL certificate. Well, there's three ways. You can buy hosting and then buy the add-on if they offer it, an SSL certificate. The second way is you can buy the hosting and then purchase the SSL certificate from a third party, and there's plenty of SSL websites, and then install the SSL yourself. That's something that I can show you how to do in another tutorial. And like, if you know how to install an SSL certificate, you just type in cheap SSL, and there's a multitude of websites. You can. This one here, it costs $3.98 to buy an SSL certificate, and you can purchase that and then install that through cPanel on your own. Some hosting companies will try to charge you $50, $60, $100 a month, $100 a year. Why pay that when you can, get one for $5.45? The only caveat is that you have to install it yourself. And the third option is buy hosting, where the SSL certificate is automatically applied to the website in the hosting, so you don't need to do anything. So basically, like, you can buy hosting where the SSL certificate is automatically installed when you install WordPress, or when you connect your domain to the hosting. That's the best option. So the best hosting you can get is a hosting company that offers you either where you can configure it yourself like this, and it also has an auto SSL certificate, so you don't have to install it, or you can ask them for the best plan option, and ask them if their cPanel or the hosting has automatically got SSL. If they don't have that auto SSL, you can use either the two options I was talking about before, or you can just go to a company that does offer it, and you can just type in like SSL included hosting. And there's a lot of webs. There's like free SSL. There's a lot of hosting companies that offer free SSL. So this is like a nice list here. So basically, having an SSL installed is just a real necessity with websites. It's basically, I wouldn't build a website with SSL because there's just no point. So once you've and most of the hosting companies is where you can purchase domains as well, and domains is something that I'll talk about in another tutorial. But you have to have, for WordPress to function properly, you have to have a domain, which is basically just your business domain, which I've just highlighted there. Venture IP is a domain for Venture IP. So just say your business name was Sally's Shoes. That's all you need to type in, and then you click search, and then it will let you know whether the domain is available. And if the domain is not available, if it is available, you just click register. And most of the time when you click register, it'll have an option where you can buy hosting at the same time. If not, you have to purchase them separately, or you can just do it this way. But you know, like if you can't find the domain you're after, then just go back and just put in anything, you know, put in something else. You'll find an alternative eventually. And with domains, it's a good idea to keep them as short as possible. You know, like, and keep them catchy, you know, easy to remember. So if someone's online and they've been to your website, like while they're on the train going into work or something, and they run out of time looking at your website, but they Sally shoes, they'll keep that in their mind, and it's really easy to remember. So you've just, you know, it increases the potential of getting extra leads. So once you've purchased a domain, and you know, like I use Synergy Wholesale for my websites, all the websites that I build for my clients, and you know, I can buy domain names all in the one thing. But this sort of setup is mainly for, you know, a web designer or a hosting company, or a web design company that's hosting a lot of websites. You probably wouldn't use this. So basically, like, to connect a domain to your hosting, all you need to do is you know, you buy a domain name, but that might be something that I'll talk about in a later, you know, in another tutorial. So once you've set the hosting up and you've got the domain name connected, once you connect the domain to the hosting, and you know, to do that, all you need to do is ring up your hosting company or contact the hosting company and ask them how to do it. But most of the time, like I was in here before, most of the time when you buy a domain, they'll ask you, as in the process, they'll ask you if you want to buy hosting. And when you do that, it's automatically set up anyway, so you probably won't need to do it. But if you do need to do it, just contact the hosting company. They'll help you out. So here's the cPanel. Once you have the domain set up, and you have it connected to the hosting, it'll take about an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes for the domain to propagate. So basically, when you first set the hosting in the domain, I'll just give it like a good 6 to 8 hours for it to propagate properly. Once that's happened, you know, some domains propagate quite quickly. It might take half an hour, it might take a couple of hours. Some take 12 to 24 hours, even 48 hours, some of them. But most websites propagate fairly quickly. So this is a cPanel. This is a setup hosting environment with the domain connected, and that's my website, the SEO Specialist. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a WordPress installation in a subfolder of my domain. But on a new installation of WordPress on a blank hosting, on new hosting, you wouldn't do that unless you wanted to do that. Like, you know, you could have several different websites on the same hosting. You could have the seospecialist.com.au/blog, or the seospecialist.com.au/clients, or whatever functionality that you needed. But most of the time when you're setting up just a simple business website, you'll be installing the installation onto the main folder, which is the public HTML folder. And you know, if you've been on a computer before, it's very similar to a file system on a computer. You know, you've got folders, you've got text files, you've got other files, you've got images. The file management system on cPanel or on your hosting is very similar to a computer. So basically, first things first, what I'll do is I'll install WordPress. So basically, that's another thing. When you're you know, when you're setting up hosting, ask if they have either Installatron, which is this one here, or they have Softaculous, or some sort of application that lets you install WordPress. You know, like in another installation, I'll actually show you how to install. In another session, I'll actually show you how to install WordPress just from absolute scratch. But I'm just showing you how to do it from the internal cPanel installer, and it's very quick and easy. So basically, when you're in cPanel, make sure that you've got something like this in there. So you've got Softaculous or Installatron. I like using Softaculaous because it's fairly easy. And all you do is, while you're in the cPanel, you just scroll down to the software section. And then you click on Softaculaous Apps Installer. And you've got a number of different applications. You've got Joomla, you've got all these other ones, WHMCS, you've got, you know, like depending on what you want to do, you know, 9 times out of 10, just stick with WordPress. WHCMS is more like it's more for hosting companies that want to sell hosting to clients and stuff. If you're just a business, stick with WordPress. It's the best website builder on the planet as far as I'm concerned. So all you need to do once you're in, so basically I'll go back here just quickly. So scroll down to software, click on Softaculaous Apps Installer, and then just click install. Now you'll get a screen like this. Don't worry about the overview, all that sort of thing. You'll have something like this. So basically, I've already got my website installed on the main domain. So for this tutorial, I'm going to set it up in a subfolder, and I'm going to call that subfolder demo. But for you, if you're installing on a new domain, you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't have anything in there. You'd leave that blank. So you'd leave that completely blank. But I'm going to install it here. So like I type in demo, and then, you know, you can name your site whatever your business is. Just you know, a short site description. Don't like put 5 or 6 paragraphs in there. Just like, you know, 5 or 6 words long. Don't worry about any of this enable multi-site unless you're going to be using that. And don't disable that. And here's where you put in, you know, you can put in, this is a username and password to access the dashboard of the website, where you can add posts and pages and add themes and plugins and stuff like that. So you can put in like anything there you want. Passwords have got to be, you know, like I would suggest using a password that's at least 8 characters long and has at least 1 special character, 1 number, 1 uppercase and 1 lowercase. You'll see as you're typing it in, you know, like, and here's where you add your business email in. This is the email that you'll be getting notifications from WordPress from, and you know, if you build a contact form on the website, this is the email address that the contact form will send to. So make sure it's one that you have access to. And then you know, you select your language, and you know, like you can select plugins that automatically get installed that you don't have to install, and I would suggest installing Classic Editor. And you know, like if you haven't bought a separate theme, and I'm going to show you how to install a theme in a separate session. This is just a basic. This is just showing you how to install a basic installation of WordPress. You know, you've got an option with themes here, you know, but I would suggest, you know, there's Theme Forest, where you can purchase themes. Like if you're a barber, you know, you can type in barber in WordPress, and always make sure, check that it's a WordPress theme before you buy it. make sure it's WordPress. It has WordPress in there somewhere. And you can pick one up for about $49 US. And you can preview them. A lot of them look pretty good. But that's just something that I'm going to show you how to do in another session. So we'll get back to this, and then you can put in here if you want. You can put in an email where it sends installation details to. If you're building one for a client, you can just put their email address in just to let them know that it's being installed. Most of the time, I don't need that. And then you just click install. So you scroll up and then you wait for it to install. And done. It's installed. The basic WordPress website is installed. So that's the actual, like I said before, because I'm putting it as a subfolder, it's going to have my domain name /demo. But you're not going to be doing that. It wouldn't have demo on the end. But that's going to be your website address. And this here is going to be your website login. So you'll have to remember the username and password that you used before that I showed you. Write them down somewhere as you're putting them into the installation process, because you'll need them to access the website. It automatically logs you in here, but once you're done this, you're finished with this. So you're going to need that username and password to log in. And the login link is a first installation of WordPress. It'll be your domain name without the demo, of course, because as I've stated previously, I've put it on a subfolder. It'll be WP-admin. So it'll be your domain name. So like, if this was a fresh installation, like without a website already there, that would be the login link. You can also just like, if you're in Chrome, you can always just bookmark it if you want, or just write it down somewhere and put your username and password there somewhere. Make sure you put it somewhere safe on your computer. So this is basically a brand new installation of WordPress, and that's it really. I'm going to show you how to do other settings, how to configure things, how to install themes. I've done another session on how to write really good posts that rank well for SEO. But basically, like, that's where you install themes. You got plugins. You got the default plugins there. Like, generally, this one's just that's just like a demo plugin. You can delete that. But that, I'll show you how to add plugins in another tutorial. That's it really. So I'll be adding more articles throughout the next couple of months about different sections of WordPress, and you eventually be able to build a whole website yourself through my tutorials. So that's it for now. You can see how simple that was. It's not hard at all. So I really look forward to getting more tutorials happening about the different elements of WordPress, and I look forward to you watching them. Okay, ciao for now.